Hello, Dean the OK Boomer here. Welcome to today's vlog. As you may have noticed, this administration, this president, Joe Biden, does not seem to be good at, well, anything. He's not good at anything. I can't think of anything that this administration has done well. But there's one thing that he's particularly not good at, which is keeping promises. In fact, he's broken so many promises, I've lost track of all the promises, or I just can't keep in my head how many promises he's broken. I'm sure many of you have the same problem, so I want to help everybody with a handy list that comes actually from a graphic that the Fox Business Channel put up last week. Biden's broken promises. Let's put it up and let's just go right down the list of all these promises that Biden has broken. And here we go. Well, you know, actually, I want to be fair. Well, let's get into the list and then I'll be fair. Well, I'm fair all the time, but let's go through the list and then I'll give you the fair part. Here we go. Inflation is transitory. That he wouldn't leave Americans in Afghanistan after his disastrous retreat from a war that we had actually won, by the way. If no American soldiers are being killed and we just have 2,500 troops there, we have 70,000 in Germany, and nobody is claiming that we didn't win World War II. So you see where my point. Anyways, government won't mandate vaccines. The border is closed and won't raise taxes on middle class. Now, the part where I want to be fair is when he says inflation is transitory, that's not a promise, actually, or it's not a promise to do something. When you talk about a promise, I take that as a promise to do something. So let's just say it's something that he was totally wrong about, or he knew that inflation is not transitory, and he lied about it, but I would not categorize this as a broken promise. Now, if he says that he's going to reduce inflation, and inflation does not get reduced, that would be a broken promise. So let's go down the list. Okay, won't leave Americans in Afghanistan. That is a broken promise. Government won't mandate vaccines. That is a broken promise. The border is closed. Okay, again, that is not a broken promise. It's just a flat-out lie. That's what that is. But now, if he says that he's going to close the border and he doesn't, that would be a broken promise. But he hasn't promised that. So I just want to be fair. And then the final one, won't raise taxes on middle class. We're waiting for a CBO score. This well, it's $1.75 trillion nominally, but it's actually $4 trillion Build Back Better plan. But I call it the turn America into a socialist welfare state like in Europe plan. But anyways, the Wharton Business School did score the plan, and they said that it does raise taxes on the middle class. At least 30% of the middle class would be paying higher taxes under this plan. We'll wait for the CBO score, but that, well, that's another, it's not a promise. Well, yeah, it is a promise. He promised that it would pay for itself. We'll wait for the CBO score, and, well, that's why I should put a caveat here that this is the list as of last week. There could be more broken promises in the future. We'll wait for the CBO report, the Congressional Budget Office report on this, the European Socialist Welfare State plan, and see what happens. But the idea of it being paid for, we'll see. He's just going to raise taxes on everybody, but it's not really paid. Now, you have to understand, this is a problem that liberals have. And by the way, I'm a conservative. Always keep that in mind when whatever I say, just when you evaluate whatever I say. But this idea of something being paid for in plain English means that it's been paid for. It doesn't mean that it's going to be, you're anticipating collecting some taxes in the future that will pay for this, because those taxes won't materialize, in my opinion. But because these tax raising schemes never raise the amount they're supposedly supposed to raise. But that's not the point. The point is, paid for means that it's paid for. It means that we will not institute this socialist welfare state plan until the taxes come in. So it's 10 years of taxes. That means this plan goes into effect 10 years from now when it has been paid for, when the money has been collected, put into the Treasury account, and the money is there to pay for it. That's what the plan is paid for means in plain English. And that's my problem with my liberal friends sometimes. It's just their problem with plain English. They have their own language. They have their own, to use a phrase, metaverse in which they live, and where words have different meanings than they have to you and me. And I would also just add one more. I'll end on this. It's nothing to do with Biden's broken promises, but talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse case. Oh, by the way, news on that. The prosecution, they know that they have no case, and the whole thing is just going into the toilet, or that's what they believe, put it that way. I don't want to predict a verdict, but from their behavior, it looks like they feel that Rittenhouse is going to be found not guilty. So they want to at least get him on a lesser charge for illegal possession of the rifle that he used to defend his own life. The judge in that case just dismissed that charge. He said that law was so confusing. He spent hours and he couldn't figure out the law. But Jonathan Turley, whom I cite a lot, a liberal lawyer, but very fair, and he made a very strong case that Rittenhouse did not violate the law. I don't want to get into the weeds on that today. If you request in the comments for me to talk about it more, then I will. But somebody on MSNBC, one of the talking heads, talking about Rittenhouse having this shooting 3 people, and about the victims, Rittenhouse's victims. Well, they were not the victims. They were attacking Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse was the victim. He was the victim, but he was a victim who was able to defend himself. And that's, again, our liberal friends have problems with the English language, because he was able to defend himself by shooting the people, the one who wasn't killed, who was only wounded. Grosskreutzer was able to, he was pointing a gun right at Rittenhouse, and Rittenhouse shot him. But Rittenhouse is somehow the attacker, and Grosskreutzer is the victim. They just turn definitions around, just like the definition that they have multiple sexes. And don't get me started on all that. And I'll just, I guess I'll add one more thing. Our liberal friends have a big problem, but they don't want to admit that there is a legitimate reason for possessing firearms, and that reason is for self-defense. They don't want to acknowledge the defensive use of firearms. That's another big problem they have. And I guess that's it for today. Thanks as always for stopping by. I really appreciate the time you spend with me. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions for future topics, you can put them in the comments section below the video. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. Share this video with anybody you think would enjoy it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.